Are you a breeder looking to showcase your show pigs? With a Walton Webcasting Show Pig Shoot, we are your go-to video service for capturing the full picture of your show pigs. We specialize in providing top quality video services for breeders like you. Our skilled video team comes directly to your operation. You talk to pigs, we capture the video. Whether it's baby pigs, boars, gilts, or sows, we ensure that their unique features will shine through. With the power of our website and social media, your professionally recorded videos are streamed live, allowing potential customers from all over the country to view and appreciate the quality of your show pigs. We handle the technicalities so you can focus on what you do best, raising exceptional livestock. To schedule your next show pig shoot, call Rhonda at 765-431-7367. Welcome to the ultimate show on the track. Today we celebrate our premier partners, the driving force behind the livestock industry across the nation. Get ready to witness the power of partnership as our premier partners take to the asphalt. Green light and they're off. On the track we have our first partner, Laird Premium Blend Genetics from premiumblendgenetics.com. Next up, it's Beck's Hybrids from beckshybrids.com. And here comes Showright from showright.com. Coming around, we have Brad Howe Ford from bhiford.com. And here comes First Farmers Bank and Trust from ffbt.com. And rounding out the racers, it's Kennedy Ventures from kennedyventuresok.com. On the track and in the ring, it's all about collaboration and teamwork. Join us in honoring our premier partners because together they're the driving force of the livestock industry.
It's time for Cattleman's Congress. This is a Walton Webcasting production. Livestock like you've never seen before.
Are glad to welcome you all to the Junior Beefmaster show here in the Performance Arena. We have a full lineup today, and we will try and roll through these. Entering the ring now is Class 1 heifer calves, ranging from 5'2" to 6'2".
Boy, if the rest of the Beefmaster show is going to be anything close to this class, it's going to be a really fun day. And because end to end, top to bottom, these females are nice all the way through, first through fifth. The heifer that I'm going to start out with, I think she's a little bit more on the growthy side, but I think she's one that offers some bone, and you step off to the side of her and she gives you some look to her, but then she doesn't disappoint you when you step around behind in her, because she's bold-centered there around the arch, and when we're talking about the arch and turn to her rib, she's got some stifle in her, and then when you pull off to the side of her, it gives you a really nice look. If I'm going to pick on her a little bit, I might make her a little bit smoother at the point of her shoulder, but I think she puts a lot of nice things together in combining look and some substance and power. The one we've got next is a really pretty silhouetted heifer from the side. I love the balance. I love the femininity and her up-headed look that she's got. And she's also one of the ones that probably just a little bit more frame to her. And to go with that compared to the one that leads out, I'd like to see her with just a little more boldness of stifle, maybe just a little more turn to her rib. But that's a really pretty heifer that does a nice job, and this young lady done a nice job with her as well. Here's one that I really like here in third, this black heifer that we've got here. When she's standing still, I love her pattern. I love the rib shape that she has. She's got some stifle width to her, and then she's really nice and tidy about her neck coming out of her shoulder there, and I really like that. Gives you that real nice, ladylike look. Where she gives me a little bit of trouble, and what puts her here in third place is when you set her into motion, she wants to get up under herself just a little bit and kind of roll up in her top. And if we could level that out on the move, I'd sure like her a little better, but that's a pretty outlined one, and you got her stuck right there really nice, and you do a good job. Next one we've got coming next is another one that I really like in terms of femininity and ladylikeness, and she's really smooth about her shoulder, really nice and up-headed about her head and neck, and then from the side she paints a really pretty picture. When you roll in behind her, she wants to flatten up just a little bit, and that's what lands her here in this spot, but that's a really nice replacement female that this young man brings us to us today. And then we round out with one that does have some extra shape to her, and she's got some stifle and round to her, and I like that middle to her. When she as we compare her to some of the ahead of her, she's one that gets just a little bit more coarse as we look at her, and maybe a little bit rounder out of her hip. And if we can kind of level her up on out of her hip and maybe smooth her up just a little bit, she could easily rise on up to the top in terms of overall power. Nice class to get started. I look forward to the rest of them.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 1. First place, Kaylin Tassin with MX Nina 508. Second goes to Leela Bylan, B2 Bougie's Telluride ET. Third goes to Noah Mullins with KTCC Madden's Maria ET. Fourth goes to Elijah Randell, KTCC Karma. And fifth goes to Sophia Garza, TCC Graces Brook. Now entering the ring is Class 2. We'd like to take this time to thank our judge, Mr. Brandon Couture from Wharton, Texas, for being here today. Brandon graduated from Mississippi State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Agricultural Economics. Brandon currently works at BRC Ranch. Let's give him a big round of applause for being here today, everybody.
Another stellar class that we've got here. I'm going to start with the young lady's painted heifer up at the front. One that not only is of the three that we have up here that are really pretty nice and silhouetted from the side, but she's the one that's the most robust when you stand in behind her. She's big in these top three. She's the one that offers the most turn and shape to her loin. She's got the most pop and flare to her stifle, and she gives you a little more arch and turn to her rib there, and she stands on a good amount of bone there that I really appreciate. But then you step off to the side of her, she gives you a good look. You set her into motion. She moves well enough for me. I think she's a really striking one that gives you a really nice look and combines a lot of good things. The white-faced black heifer that we've got here in second is one I really like, and she hit me pretty hard when she first come in. But as we compare her to that one in front of her, when you roll in behind her, she wants to flatten up just a little bit as compared to that first one. But from the side, she's really killer. Got a beautiful look, strong top line, really nice and long and up-headed, and that's one I really, really like from the side profile that just balances up and has so much eye appeal. The one we've got coming in third, here's one that she's a little bit more of a meat and potatoes type, especially from the side. Nice balanced heifer, but as compared to those top two, she just wants to flatten up and get a little bit plainer in her overall muscle and rib shape when we get in behind her. But here's one from the side. I love that depth of body that she has, and just a really nice cow prospect. Young man's heifer that's coming next is the tiger stripe kind of heifer there. He is one that's really feminine and pretty when you look at her, especially up through that head and neck, and she blends so nicely there at her shoulder, and then as she goes back, one that's got plenty of length and extension throughout as compared to some of those that lead off of maybe not quite as much bone as we have in front of her, maybe not quite as robust there in her midsection, but she's one that's really pretty outlined, and this young man's done a nice job. She looks like she could probably be a handful sometimes, but you've done a nice job keeping her calm and quiet. Next young lady we've got coming here with a big Beefmaster heifer that's got lots of capacity, lots of depth of body, lots of rib. There's a lot of middle in that female, and she's still feminine enough. Where she starts to give me a little bit problems today, she wants to get a little overcooked in terms of her conditioning. She's starting to lay down a little more fat in her brisket and her udder there, and if we could trim her up just a little bit, she could rise on up in this class. Next heifer we've got coming next, the young lady does a really nice job presenting this heifer, and here's one that's super attractive, especially up front. When you set her into motion, she kind of wants to hammer down on her back legs just a little bit when you ask her to move, and if we could free her up just a little bit, make her a little freer and easier on the move off of those hind legs, she's one that could rise up to the top and even rival some of them in the top class. And then the young ladies, we've got the red heifer coming next, does an outstanding job, and she's hung tough the whole time, and we're really proud of her. But that's a heifer there that's got some muscle shape to her. She's got some rib shape to her. Maybe not quite as feminine as some of the heifers that we lead off with, and maybe not, and gets a little bit rounder out of her hip as some of those other ones. But she's one that's got some shape and some turn and some capacity to her. And Maddie's done a great job. So congratulations to you. And then we round out with a really pretty black heifer that's got lots of femininity. She's ladylike in her look in terms of daintiness and having a nice thin neck and feminine head about her. She just gives it up in terms of overall substance, and as we compare to some of the others in terms of just overall mass and volume, but a nice class all the way throughout. So good job to all of you.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 2. First place goes to Savannah Skaggs with WR Foxy's Marie. Second goes to Maddox McCollum with KTCC Tulsi. Third, Harper Rutledge with OVB J&A Top Saucy Chick. Fourth goes to Gage Seal, GCS Royal. Fifth goes to Avery Pearson, ASP Sparks Dior. Sixth, Sophia Garza with Ellis Kailani. Seventh goes to Maddie Hargis with David Daisy Duke. And 8 goes to Catherine Leonard with Bubba's Georgia.
Boy, these youngsters are starting to bring some heat in here, and this class has got some give and take in it from top to bottom, but lots of quality throughout. We start off with the young lady's dark red heifer that we've got up here. Really like the way that she not only combines big rib, big middle, big end, but as she goes toward the front from a top view going down up toward her front, she wants to get wide hipped, and she just kind of keeps tapering and going to a really nice smooth shoulder that lays in so nicely into a feminine head and neck. I really like that about her, and not only that she's so smooth there in her shoulder and very angular there in her shoulder, I think she's very correct in that regard, but the further you go back, the bolder and bigger she gets there through her rib, and you stand in behind her, she's wide hooked, wide pinned, and maintains some width to the ground. But it's just she walks that fine line of having enough robustness and still having plenty of femininity that I like. I tend to like them a little more feminine than a lot of people, but there's one that'll give you a little extra, and I appreciate that about her. Probably got a little more hair for my taste as we talk about start just thinking about Beefmaster breed character, but I'm a Brahmin guy. I like them slick. If they got a little hair, they always look like they need a little worming to me, but that's just my, I think that's a really nice heifer. The one we've got coming next does have probably more of a traditional Beefmaster look, one that's also big-footed, big-boned, rugged made. She's nicely balanced from the side. Where she starts to give me a little bit of trouble for my own personal preference, she's starting to get a little bolder about her head, a little more bold there about her brow in terms of when we're talking about femininity. If we can make her a little more dainty-headed, a little more thinner-necked as we go back, we'd sure like her that way. But when we're talking about robustness and shape and things like that, that's one that's not only gives you a good look from the side, but from the back, she impresses you pretty good as well. Young man's dark heifer that we've got coming in third. Here's one that's another really nice outlined heifer. She's probably one of the smaller framed heifers in the class, but she's put together so nicely in terms of balance and femininity. If we're going to fix her compared to some of the others, I'd like to give her a little more length of hip and maybe just a little more length of stride off of those hind two legs when you set her into motion. I think she's just right in her conditioning. And when this young man gets her stopped and pulled together, gives you a really good look. Good job on you. Young lady's brockle-faced heifer that we've got coming next is one that's killer from the side profile when she's standing still. Big-ribbed, big-ended, and super feminine up front. When you set her into motion, though, there off those hind twos, she wants to get outside of her skeleton a little bit as she travels away from you. But there's one standing still that gives you a really nice look. Then we've got the young man with the heifer with the spot in her head there. Really love the extra length and extension this one gives us. Really strong and level down of her top and just right in her hip. One that's probably not as bold in the center portion of her body as we compare to those ones that precede her in this class. Then we've got the young man in blue here that's got the black heifer, one that from the side is really nice patterned and pretty silhouette, super feminine, super dainty. She just wants to kind of plane up when you roll in behind her and get a little bit flatter about her rib and her muscle shape from behind. But there's one that when she stops gives you a really nice outline. Young lady's heifer we've got coming next is one that you really like in terms of just smoothness. She's smooth, she's long, she's feminine, just maybe not quite as opened up there in her stifle as we compare to some of those ahead of her in line. Just gets a little flatter and plainer. I'd like to see that hind quarter maybe carry down her leg just a little bit further there off of her hind leg, but this young lady does a super job sticking her and getting her presented today. And then we've got the white-legged heifer coming next, one that really follows type and kind with a few ahead of her in terms of femininity and good look. She just gets a little straighter off of her hind legs and they're in her hock, and like to see her with a little bit more flex as we set her into motion. Then we round out with some heifers that just give up in terms of overall eye appeal, maybe make them just a little bit smoother. I think time will come with that, but there's some heifers that's got some good pieces to them, and these young fellas have done a great job getting them presented to us today, because those heifers have got some bone and some pieces that could get it going. It's just going to take a little time with these heifers, but I think they'll get there.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 3. First place goes to Charlie Poe with Ellis Meadow ET. Second, Caden Lee. Third, Wes Compton. Fourth, Sophia Garza. Fifth, Braden Lee. Sixth, Santiago Garza. Seventh, Peyton Medlock. 8, Olivia King. 9, Sutton Place. 10th, Waylon Hargis. And 11th, Princeton Jordan. Now entering the ring is your champion heifer calf division.
Really good division from top to bottom. All three classes we've had. Just in this division, these youngsters should all be congratulated for the quality that they've had and just the nice Beefmaster heifers that they've brought to us today. Out of the youngest class, we've got the real long-sided heifer who was kind of a standout in that class in my mind in terms of not only having some extra growth and performance, but she also had some extra substance to her in terms of muscle design and bone and things like that. When you get her out here in this particular lineup, she wants to get a little bolder there at the point of her shoulder, maybe not quite as nice and laid in there in her shoulder, and if we could fix that about her, I'd sure like her a little bit better, but in terms of having some shape, having some length, having some bone, that's a pretty nice one. Then we've got the young lady's painted heifer out of the second class. Here's one that is a little bit smoother laid in there at her shoulder as compared to the one ahead of her, while still maintaining that extra bone and shape to her. That's a heifer I like a great deal in terms of not only having some femininity and things like that, but having some substance to go with that. As we compare her to the heifers on either side of her, she's probably not quite as deep ribbed as both of those on either side of her, but that's a really nice outlined heifer that I like a really great deal. And then we roll into one that's pretty unique in terms of being moderate made. She's not only is she moderate made, just a super cow prospect in terms of having some depth and having some grunt. When you look at her from behind, you roll into the side of her, she's big ribbed and got lots of capacity, but she blends so nicely from front to back. She's wedged from back to front from both views, from the side and from the top, and that's one that when I start seeing that, I kind of lock into, and in this particular division, I think she's the most unique in that area. She'll be our division champion, and we're going to follow up with the paint right in front of her. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to our champion senior heifer calf, exhibited by Charlie Poe, Ellis Meadow ET, And your reserve champion heifer calf, Savannah Skaggs with WR Foxy's Marie. Now entering the ring is Class 4 Junior Heifers.
This particular group of heifers is going to stay the way they come to us today. I'm going to start off with the 3 heifers that are probably have a little more freedom of movement. I'm going to start off with the heifer that just offers the most of everything. When we get off behind her, she's got the most capacity, she's got the most muscle. In the top 3 that we have up here, one that offers you a nice balanced look from the side. If I picked on her a little bit, probably like to trim her down a little bit. She's probably starting to get a little over in her condition for my particular taste. But in terms of the freer moving, easier females that we've got up here, she's one that just gives us a little more grunt and punch. We've got the heifer coming next, pound for pound, the longest bodied heifer in the class. She's really long about her spine, strong in her top. Set her into motion. She moves with a long stride as well. I'd just like to give her a little more power as we compare her to the one that we start off with. The one we've got in third here's one that gets a little bit plainer in her design as we compare to the 2 ahead of her. One that's probably you'd like to see with a little more shape and robustness down her top line, but one that when you set her into motion, she handles herself very comfortably on the move, and that's what lands her here in this 3rd spot. The one we've finished out in 4th, standing still, that's a really nice one in terms of shape and design and top shape, and you stand in behind her and she's bold and big. Where she gives me some trouble today is when you set her into motion, the way she handles her hip and hind leg on the move. I'd sure like to change that about her, and if you could make her free and easier, I think she rises to the top and wins this class if we can just change her a little bit in her skeleton. But a nice class from top to bottom, and one that just kind of fits in there up at the top.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 4. First place goes to Laney Seal, showing HUB Ghost Gouda. Second, Briley Shamir. Third goes to Kaylee Beeson. And fourth goes to Braden Lee. Now entering the ring is Class 5.
dark red, white-bellied heifer that we start off with. Here's one that you love in terms of her length and extension throughout, but then also having plenty of depth of body. Really like this heifer in terms of how much bone she has, and I think she's one of the top few. She's one that's the most fresh in her conditioning, and while maintaining a really nice look from the side and by still having ample muscle and shape from behind too. Really appreciate that about her, and this young man's done a nice job pulling her together today. And then we have another heifer here that I like the extra shape that she has and the roll to her loin there. You get in behind her and she's got some width and of construction there. Probably starting to lay down a little extra fat than I'd like to see, but she's one that, as compared to the third heifer, lays in a little bit smoother at her shoulder. Then the one we have in third is another heavy muscled big bone one that's kind of got some shape to her and some rib shape, where she gives me some trouble in these top three. She wants to get bolder in her shoulder and a little more pulled apart there in her chest floor and wants to kind of toe in when you get closer to the ground. But there's one that's big loined, she's big ribbed, she's got lots of capacity, and you appreciate that about her. Then the young man's heifer that we've got coming next, the dark colored heifer, there's one that you like the depth of body of. You like how she lays in there at her shoulder. She just gets a little plainer in her overall makeup as compared to those ones that precede her. And then the young man that rounds out the class here, here's one that's got some top shape to her and some rib shape to her. When we set her into motion, she just wants to get a little tighter and more upright on her pasterns when you set her into motion. And if we could loosen her up right there, I think she could rise up in the top end of this class as well.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 5. First place goes to Wes Compton, TCC Mose Maria. Second goes to Emery Deathridge. Third goes to Bailey Griffin. Fourth, Graham Cox. And fifth, Landon McKee. Now entering the ring is Class 6 Junior Beefmasters.
You know, in this particular class, there's not really the heifer that moves the most ideal in my mind, but I think the one that does so the most correctly is the one that we start off with up front. In this particular group, she's the freest and easiest in her movement when you ask her to walk. She's one that's super feminine. She's probably she's the freshest in her conditioning at this stage of the game, and I think that's pretty nice. I just wonder if we're starting to get on the verge of maybe being a little bit hard, but other than that, in terms of femininity, length of body, transitioning that with some freedom of movement and some flex, that's what lands her in this spot up here, and just how well she can travel as compared to the contemporaries in this class. The one we have in second, this is the one that's big-bodied and bold and got some shape to her, one that when you set her into motion, if you can make her handle her hind hock just a little bit better, she could easily win this class. And she's probably one that's starting to lay down just a little bit more fat there in her chest and her brisket area, but in terms of rib shape and design and overall capacity, that's one that I like while still maintaining some femininity. Then the one we have in third, the young lady's dark tiger stripe colored heifer. Here's one you love the length about her. You like the way that she transitions front to back in terms of overall balance. One that is probably like to see her handle her hind legs just a little bit better herself, and to maybe just mass her up just a little bit compared to some of those, compared to the one ahead of her. But if you could make her do that, she could probably rise on up to the top. She wants to get up in her top line just a little bit when you set her into motion. And then we round out the class with two heifers that we'd sure like to see travel a little better off of their hind skeleton. But two heifers that have got some femininity about them, and I think they're correct in their conditioning for this age, and they've got some look to them.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 6. First place goes to Briley Shamir, W.R. Courtney. Second, Sophia Garza. Third, Avery Pearson. Fourth, Santiago Garza. And fifth goes to Carson Wright. Now entering the ring is Class 7 Junior Beefmasters.
In this particular class, I'm going to start with the black heifer here. She's one that's got, I think she kind of hits me in the sweet spot in terms of overall femininity, while still having some look and design and still having enough muscle when you stand in behind her. She's probably one of the better moving heifers, and then in the top end of this class as well. So she just kind of falls into this spot here. She doesn't necessarily overwhelm you in any one area, but I think she just fits as she combines the most good things in this particular class. The one we've got in second, this is the robust one. This is the one that's really pulled apart when you get in behind her. She's wide stifled and square hipped, and she's got some depth and she's got some bone and growth and power. For my taste today, she's probably just getting a little bulky about her neck in terms when we're talking about femininity and things like that, but there's one that could really add some grunt and power to a cow herd, and this young lady does a nice job getting her presented to us today. The one we've got when coming in third on the standstill is one I really like. She's sitting there with beautiful balance from the side, and she's got plenty of bone and muscle and shape. Problem she gives me a little bit as we compare to those top three is when she's walking coming at you, she wants to kind of roll out on those front toes just a little bit as we look at her coming toward us. And then the young man's heifer we've got coming next is one doesn't necessarily overpower you in terms of wow factor, but I think she's got real conventional and moderate in her frame size. She's got some flexibility when you ask her to get into motion. She's just a little bit plainer as we compare to some of those ahead of her. And then we come into a black heifer here that's got some length and extension and muscle to her. She just wants to get a little straighter and more upright on both ends of her skeleton and open up there at the point of her shoulder. And then we round out the class with the young lady's heifer here that's got some rib shape to her, and she's got some stifle. Just gets a little plainer and shorter in her hip design. Maybe doesn't handle her hind leg quite as nicely and balance up as some of those that precede her.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 7. First place goes to Olivia King with Barg Kiss My Sass, 24153 ET. Second goes to Addison Poe. Third, Savannah Skaggs. Fourth goes to Wes Compton. Fifth, Carson Wright. And sixth goes to Caitlin Reed. Now entering the ring is the Champion Junior Heifer Division.
In this particular division, it's been a little bit harder to find a type to stick with just because we've kind of had to bounce through some structural issues and things like that. So we've got some varying types of heifers when we get out here in our class winners. Up front, we've got one that's got lots of capacity. She's got some bone and some shape to her. probably in this particular lineup, one that gets a little bit over in her condition for my liking. But but when we start talking about that circumference of bone and foot size and rib shape, I really like that about her, and that overall capacity that she brings to us. Probably not quite as extended from end to end as some of the other heifers in the lineup, but you really love that extra capacity. The young man's red heifer that's turning out right now, here's the one that's got the length. She's got the length, and she's also got some depth of body. I really appreciate that about her. Probably doesn't give you the eye appeal as some of the heifers in the class when we view her from the side in terms of upheadedness and things like that, and she probably wants to flatten just a little bit as compared to some of the other heifers in the lineup when you roll in behind her there. But from the side, I love the extra length, I love the extra depth, and just a nice meat and potatoes super replacement for this young man, and I think she's about right in her conditioning as well. Then the young lady's heifer that we've got out of the third class, length, extension, femininity, I really like that about her. In this particular lineup, she probably gets a little harder in terms of overall conditioning, leans a little on the leaner side of the spectrum as compared to some of the other heifers, and probably doesn't have quite the overall mass as some of the other heifers. So if we could just soften her up just a little bit, that's one I like pretty good, and just in terms of femininity and design. Then we round out round out the division with the oldest class here, and one that just kind of fits a little bit closer together in what we're looking. I think she's about right in her conditioning. She's got plenty of look from the side. She's got plenty of shape to her when you get in behind her, and just ties everything together so nicely in this particular division that she'll be your division champion today. The one that comes in for reserve consideration that was second in that class, that's one that's got a lot of power, especially standing behind her, back three-quarter view, front three-quarter view. She's very big in her rib. She's very high, big-ended there in her hindquarter, and she travels well enough for me. Where the other heifer in that particular division got around her was, I think, was a little bit overall femininity there at the top of her neck and her head a little bit, but it's hard to overlook the power in that one and the things that she combines. She'll be our reserve division.
Well, congratulations to Olivia King, your champion junior heifer with Bard Kiss My Sass 24153. And your reserve champion junior heifer goes to Addison Poe with Ellis Becca E.T. Now entering the ring is Class 8.
young lady's painted heifer is going to start this class off. I think she's one that excels in femininity in this particular class, and one that gives you a little extra muscle and power, along with combining that with a really nice look from the side. And I think also when you set her into motion, she moves around the ring with a little better stride, especially off of those hind legs, but just one that puts a lot of nice things together. Congratulations to you. Young man's heifer over here, here's one that's got some depth of body, and she's got some bone to her, one that probably gets a little coarser about her brow, and when we're talking about femininity up front, probably gets a little shorter in her hip and a little straighter off of her hock when you set her into motion. But I do like the amount of bone that she has. I like the depth of body that she has, and she's got some good pieces to her. We just want to make her a little bit more feminine, maybe change that hind leg structure just ever so slightly to move up in this class. But congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 8. First place goes to Riley Purvis with KTC Mariska, and second goes to Elijah Randell with EJR Dreammaker. Now entering the ring is Class 9, Senior Females.
In this particular class, the heifer that we start off with, I'll be the first to admit that probably doesn't look the most like traditional Beefmaster, and we might miss the mark just a little bit in terms of overall breed character. But when we start talking about skeletal design combined with power and balance and look, it's hard to get around this one in this particular class. I would like to see her, for my taste, be a little more slicked off, but also give her a little more of maybe a traditional Beefmaster head on her. But other than that, from the side, it's hard to get around that skeletal design and just that really killer look. And this young lady's done a nice job getting her stuck today, too. And then we've got the one that's a little more in second that does give you that nice traditional Beefmaster look, and she's got some shape down her top. She's got some width from stifle to stifle and some bone and some power. Probably doesn't handle herself off of her hind leg quite as nicely as I'd like to see her, and probably starting to get a little heavy there in her brisket when we talk about conditioning. Young man's black Bronco-faced heifer that we've got coming next is one that I like in terms of femininity, one that has enough shape to her and has enough look to her, but not quite as much as she needs to travel to get on up in this class, and probably like to just give her a little more set and angle to her shoulder and maybe just belly her down, give her a little more overall capacity to get up on those heifers that precede her in this particular class. And then we've got the young man's really long-bodied heifer that gives you lots of depth from the side. She's got some capacity when viewed from the side. When you get in behind her, she probably narrows up a little more compared to some of the other heifers, and probably doesn't handle her top line quite as attractively when you set her into motion. She gets a little bit slinky on you, but other than that, I love the length of body that she has combined with that extra depth and femininity.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors. Out of Class 9, first place goes to Addison Poe with Ellis Simone E.T., second, Sophia Garza, third, Santiago Garza, and fourth goes to Austin Garza. Now entering the ring is Class 10 Junior Beefmasters.
In this particular class, the black heifer that we start off with, from the time she walks in, she hits me kind of the hardest in terms of having that extra look and length and femininity and balance from the side, but she doesn't disappoint you when you step in behind her as well. She's got enough turn and shape to her. I think that's a really nice one that gives you a really cool look, but just love that extra length and extension while maintaining some shape and rib to her when you get in behind her. She just ties together so nicely and angular in her skeleton. The one that we've got coming in second there, here's a most closely follows her in terms of her overall design. She's got some strength, really nice about her top line there, and nice and level out of her hip. Appreciate that about her. And I think what lands her here in the second hole, she gives me a little more angularity to her front skeleton than the heifer we have in third. Maybe a little better there out of her hip, but just blends so nicely and so uniformly from front to back and gives us a nice feminine look. Then the heifer that we have in third, I like the big, bold middle that she has. She's stout-ended when you get in behind her, and she's got a lot of stifle to her. She's got plenty of bone. She wants to get a little straighter in her shoulder for my taste, maybe a little bit more sloped and shorter there in her hip as we compare to the two heifers ahead of her, but that's one that's still got a lot of quality, and when asked to be put into motion, can handle her skeleton very well on the move. I appreciate that about her, and she's presented so nicely as well. The young light-colored heifer coming next is one that I really like the depth of body that she has, one that's got some bone and some stoutness to her, probably just planes up a little bit and gets a little flatter in her overall design as we compare her to the three heifers that precede her. Very similar to the next heifer that we've got coming here, one that's got some shape to her and really nice teat design about her. I really appreciate that about her. Probably just gets a little off on her hind skeleton when you set her into motion. Maybe not quite as attractive there about her shoulders compared to some of the others, but I do like that extra rib shape that she brings to us and those really nice refined teats. Tend to be a sucker for those, but the heifer that we round out with, one that's really nice from the side, but probably gets a little straighter on both ends of her skeleton as compared to some of the others, and maybe gets a little more peaked in her top when you stand in behind her, but one that just is so smooth when viewed from the side, and I think she's about right in her conditioning, and this young man done a really good job today, so give him a round of applause.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 10. First place goes to Maddox McCollum with KTCC Clarissa. Second goes to Briley McKee. Third, Addison Poe. 4, Vicente Garza. 5th, Carson Barnett. And 6th goes to Gage Seal. Now entering the ring, Class 11.
In this particular class, I think the heifer that we used to win the brockle-faced heifer wins pretty easily in this group. Not only one that offers a little more in terms of overall growth and performance, but I think she gives us the most look out of the bunch. She's super attractive and feminine, and then while still maintaining enough power and presence to go with it. And I think she just kind of combines the most good things and easily rises to the top in this class. The real deep-sided black heifer that we have in second, you really love how deep she is in her heart and the way she maintains that depth throughout. She's level there in her hip. One that, as compared to the one ahead of her, probably not as extended from out of her neck, from her shoulder. Probably gets a little shorter in her hip and just narrows up a little bit when you stand in behind her. But love that extra depth of body. Then the young man's heifer that we have here in third has got some extra length to her as well, but one that gets a little bit, as compared to some of the other heifers, maybe not quite as much natural muscling. She wants to get a little more conditioning down her top line out of her hip and in her brisket sitting there, and she gets a little frailer in her overall bone work, but there in the center portion of her body, she's opened up and nice in that regard. Then we finish up with a heifer that's got some femininity to her, just not quite as nice and attractive in her skeletal design on both ends, but one that's really nice and tidy about her navel there and really strong in her top line.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 11. First place goes to Sophia Garza with Ellis Lilly. Second goes to Lila Bylan. Third, Waylon Hargis. And fourth goes to Catherine Leonard. Now entering the ring is Class 12.
Here's another heifer that wins the class fairly handily. Not only is she one of the more attractive heifers in the class, she's so feminine and deep-bodied, but she handles herself on the move so elegantly and travels with the most freedom of ease, freedom and ease of this particular group, and that's what lands her in this spot. But just that, and combined with that real nice look that she gives you, kind of puts her in this hole. The one we've got coming in second here, this is one that offers us maybe a little bit more turn to her rib, maybe a little bit more stifle, but one that probably doesn't handle her hind leg quite as nicely as we'd like to see on the move. But in terms of robustness and power, I like her fairly decent. Then the young lady's heifer that we have in third here, as she comes around, is one that in that final two offers us a little bit more bone and shape, and that's kind of what lands her in this third hole. She's nice and strong in her top line there and level in her hip, and I appreciate that. As compared to the two heifers that precede her, probably not quite as much center body there, maybe gets a little coarser headed than the two that precede her, but that strong, nice level top I really like. And then the young man's really long-bodied heifer here. It's got a good look to her, and he's done a really super job. He says he practiced her a lot, and it shows. He's done a super job with her, and I would just like to give her a little more flair to her stifle, just maybe a little more shape from behind as compared to the heifers that lead out ahead of her.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors. Out of Class 12, first place goes to Laney Seal with HUB Sriracha Scarlet. Second goes to Ellie Walters. Third, Harper Rutledge. And fourth goes to Silas Moon. Now entering the ring is Class 14.
We can almost sort these a little bit on just overall udder quality when we start talking about future functionality and things like that. The one we start off with is the most refined in her teats. She's starting to lay down a little more fat in her udder than I'd like to see, but I do appreciate that extra refinement of teat structure that she has. But added to that, she's the one in this particular lineup that also gives us the most look. She's the most eye-appealing from the side and still maintains enough presence and power to go along with it. And so I'm glad to see that not only is she one of the stouter, more attractive females, but she's got those nice teats to go along with that. Young man's heifer that we've got coming in next is one that's uniformly deep throughout, one that's got some extension up front. She's got some levelness of top line. She's probably not as long-bodied as a heifer on either side of her, but she's also one that gives us a little more correctness there when we start looking at her teat structure. And then between the two bottom heifers that we have here in this particular lineup, I struggle with their udder and teat quality at this stage of the game. They get a little coarse and chunkier there about their teats, but what separates these two on the bottom end, we've got a little more bone, a little more shape in the one that we've got in third than we do than the heifer that we round out with. But then the heifer that we round out with, I love the levelness of top, love the levelness of hip, and this young lady's done a nice job presenting her today as well. Congratulations.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 13. First place goes to Kale Tassin with KTCC Celia. Second goes to Princeton Jordan. Third goes to Briley Chamel. And fourth goes Delilah Byland. Now entering the ring is Class 14.
Really nice single entry pair that we've got here. I really appreciate the moderation and conventional frame size of the cow that comes in front of us today. Really nicely balanced from the side and extra feminine. One that's got some shape to her, just coming out of her spine with a little extra turn and shape to her rib, and carries that turn all the way on down around her body cavity there. And then you stand in behind her, and she's thick enough for me. I like her. A female that, in terms of udder suspension, is very nice. Might start to get a little bit gathered up in her teats there as in terms of when compared to ideal, but she's got a nice enough udder, and she brings us a really nice calf to go along with that's pretty high quality itself. So this particular pair, even though she's a single entry, could stand a lot of competition. So congratulations.
Well, congratulations to Savannah Skaggs with W.R. Marins Taylor for getting first place in Class 14. Fixing to enter the ring is our champion senior female division, which will be followed by your grand champion junior Beefmaster drive.
Kind of like that last division, we've kind of got some differences in type and kind when we get them lined out here. But I think in those particular classes, the way we lined them up to get there and combine not only structural correctness and soundness the best, but also bring in some look and some grunt to go with them. We've kind of had to sacrifice a little bit of consistency in type and kind to get there. But I think with these class winners that we've got out here, I think we've got some pretty nice ones and just some subtle differences. The young lady's painted heifer up front is one that I really like in terms of her overall look and eye appeal. One that in this particular lineup, I'd probably like to stretch her out on both ends of her skeleton, make her just a little bit longer bodied, but one that's conventional and moderate and got some shape to her and things like that. And when this young lady gets her set just like that, gives you a really, really nice look. Young lady's black heifer we got here out of the second class. I love the length and the extension. Like the angularity to her skeleton there here from the side. One that you could probably smooth just a little bit better there at the point of her shoulder. But when you set her into motion, she moves with a long, free, and easy stride and gives you a really nice look about her. We talked about her in class, maybe not quite having the breed character that I would think would be ideal, but still a pretty nice one. And then out of the third one, this black one, I love the length. I love the extension, and I think she's got enough in terms of thickness and muscle to go with that, and just combines a lot of nice things. I think she's angular, she's feminine, she's long, and just blends so nicely as we view her. She might not be the biggest in any one area of the certain group, but I think she combines a pretty good bit. And the young lady's Brockle face one that we've got here, love the extra depth that she has. Probably not quite as long as the heifers on either side of her, but one that's up-headed in her look, and she's got some bone and extra capacity. And then another deep-bodied, long-sided one here out of the next class, probably is not quite as robust in her rib shape or have as much flair to her stifle as the heifers on either side of her, but from the side gives you a really nice look. And then the white uddered female that we've got out of the second to last class is another one that gives you a really nice eye-appealing, well-balanced look, really nice in her underline there. She's one that's probably starting to lay it down a little more fat in her udder and brisket than I would consider to be ideal or would like to see, but gives you a really super nice, balanced, up-headed, feminine look, then I appreciate that. And then we've got the cow that's out of the last class, and we talked about her being moderate and conventional in her frame size while having some shape and muscle and bringing a nice job, doing a nice job with this calf here. I know she's got that big udder under her, but she might want to get outside of her skeleton just a little bit on the move as compared to some of these other heifers. I'm going to go out here and pick the one that I think ties the most good things together for your division champion, and then we'll step back and wait for the reserve to come in and get a better look at him.
Congratulations to your champion senior female, exhibited by Maddox McCollum, showing KTCC Clarissa. Now entering the ring is Briley McKee. And congratulations to your reserve champion senior female out of Class 9, Addison Poe, showing Ellis Simone E.T. Now entering the ring is your champion junior Beefmaster Heifer Drive. Your champion out of the Heifer Calf division is exhibited by Charlie Poe from Stephenville, Texas, showing Ellis Meadow ET. Champion out of the junior Heifer division, shown by Olivia King, Bryan, Texas, Bargee Kiss My Sass. And your champion from the senior Heifer division is Maddox McCollum with KTCC Clarissa. Everyone, let's give our exhibitors a big round of applause.
Really enjoyed judging the Beefmaster heifers today because we've seen a lot of quality. Although they come in a lot of different types and kinds, there's been a lot of quality coming in and out of this ring today. But more importantly, the quality of the young people exhibiting them has been fantastic. They've all been super courteous, and you can tell they're very professional, and they do a good job, and you can tell they do it at home. So I appreciate their hard work and diligence in getting their calves ready today. Out of the youngest division up here, here's one that's really cool and unique in the fact that she blends so nicely from front to back. She's big and bold in her back, and she just goes to the front wedging both from the side and down her top line. I like the way she lays into her shoulder so nicely and then gets bigger and bolder the further you go back, and I really like that. In this particular lineup, as compared to the other two, she probably gets a little bit shorter coupled as compared to the other two, but she puts a lot of nice pieces together, and this young lady's done a super job getting her stuck today, so congratulations to her. The heifer out of the middle, here's one that not only is feminine, she's also got enough bone and circumference of bone and stands on a decent size enough foot. One that in this particular lineup's got a little extra turn to her loin, probably got a little extra flare to her stifle, and one that even from the side when you back off of her, she still balances up fairly nicely, and I like that one pretty good. I think she's a pretty nice one. Maybe not quite as smooth in her shoulder. There's the heifers on either side of her, but I think she's probably one of the bolder of the group. And then we out of the last division, love the length and extension of this one. I think this one ties together so many good things in terms of functionality and femininity and things. In this particular lineup, she's probably not as bold featured as the two heifers that precede her, but she ties and blends so nicely and attractively. I'm going to go out and select your champion female, and then I'll step off of them one more time before I pick your reserve.
And congratulations to your grand champion junior Beefmaster female, Olivia King. And your reserve grand champion goes to Charlie Poe from Stephenville, Texas. Everyone, let's give all of our exhibitors one more big round of applause.
Thank you for joining us for Cattleman's Congress. This has been a Walton Webcasting production. Livestock like you've never seen before.